Hey guys, I'm going to jump right in today because it's a little bit longer than usual. I had a participant from my office hours ask if I would please read our office hours notes in a YouTube video so she could listen to them and just be reminded about what we were talking about this past Thursday in regards to chronic pain or chronic discomfort, chronic itching, chronic IBS, any of those chronic things that doctors just have a really hard time pinpointing or finding the source of or finding solutions for. So that was the topic of our office hours. And I'd like to just read you the opening notes. And it began with an email from one of our office hours participants. And she says this: Dear Missy, I'm in a lot of physical pain at the moment, and it is almost all I can think about during the day. A feeling of fear and tiredness is in my whole system. Maybe we can talk a little bit about that tomorrow in office hours. I do know there is growth in this experience, but right now I just can't feel it and I can't see it. So, okay, here we go. I'd like to start with just a little bit of science, but I really don't want to stay there. As far as I can see, the only point of any kind of science lesson is simply to help you begin to open up to the fact that your mind is not the place to find answers when you're in the midst of suffering. It cannot and will not help you. So let this little science lesson serve as more of a bone worth throwing that barking dog in your head so that you can begin to settle a little more in your heart. When we talk about physical or physiological pain, we typically point to the body. We say things like, my shoulder's all locked up, my skin is on fire, or there is a tightness wrapped around my torso that feels like a boa constrictor. We can point with our hands to show where the discomfort or the pain is. And then, thanks to Western medicine, we can label that discomfort on a scale of 1 to 10 or on a scale of smiley face to frown face. We have been taught to focus on and analyze our discomfort in order to be able to give as many details as we can to a doctor. How long has the discomfort been there? How is it impacting your life? What might have caused it? And none of this is a problem in and of itself. It can actually be super helpful in any given moment to pinpoint a broken bone or even a clogged artery. But here's the thing: when the pain or the itching or the discomfort is ongoing without any logical solutions in sight, all of that analyzing and focusing and striving stops being helpful and it starts actually contributing to your experience of suffering. We don't typically stop to consider that the thing we call pain or discomfort is actually an interpretation that is formed in the brain, not in the body part. It's a construction of the mind. So when there is inflammation or an injury to, and we're just going to pick a body part, we're going to say the knee. Special receptors called nociceptors are stimulated in the knee, because we're going to just stick with the knee for now. These specialized receptors release chemicals and send those chemicals along nerve fibers all the way up the spinal cord and into the brain. The brain then processes the signals and constructs the experience of pain. It tells a story of pain. And I think it's kind of cool to pause there for a minute and take that in. I'm not saying this is all in your head, as in it's psychological and you're making it up. No one's saying this is all in your head and therefore you should be ashamed of yourself for doing this to yourself. No. What I'm pointing to is so much simpler. It's so much more basic. The experience of pain or the experience of itching is constructed. It is made up in the brain based on some chemical signals. And this is huge to even be open to seeing. So the brain basically tells the story of pain. And then It tells it as if it's objective truth. The knee has no capacity to actually feel pain. It can only send these chemical signals. The brain is where it's all made up. The brain even adjusts the volume and the intensity of your experience of pain or itching or discomfort on hundreds of factors. And one of those factors that I think is kind of the coolest to see is the presence or absence of the belief this is unfair and shouldn't be happening. And this is really cool to see because if you can open to the possibility that your mind is not reporting objective truth, then a whole new world of possibilities begins to open up. A whole new level of healing becomes available. Now, if you have a healthy, normal human brain, then right now it's probably screaming, "No, Missy, my pain actually is level 10. It is unbearable. It has been here for 35 years and I have proof. I have x-rays, I have blood work, I have scars, I have notes from puzzled doctors. I literally can't get out of my bed. I'm limping. Everything I am telling you about my pain is objectively true and real." And here's the thing, I'm not saying for a moment that you can't get out of bed or that you're not limping or that your body is not covered in bright red welts. I'm not even suggesting that your x-rays or your blood work aren't entirely correct. They are. They are telling exactly what they're meant to tell. What I'm pointing to is that your experience of the pain, of the itching, of the discomfort in your belly, of the nausea, is a function of your identification with all the stories and beliefs going on in your brain. As long as it looks like your mind is constructing objective truth, then your reality will match your beliefs. It's so incredibly simple that we miss it. And most people don't know this until they know it, until they stumble upon a conversation like this. After all, your mind is designed to argue for your suffering. That is your mind's job. As long as the mind can present a compelling story of suffering, it can keep you in your head, endlessly searching for solutions. The brain, the ego, loves a victim. So if it can convince you to identify as a victim of your health, well, then it can keep you locked into thoughts in search of solutions forever. But solutions to suffering cannot and do not come from a mind lost in suffering. It's not the right tool. What if helpful possibilities actually come from a much different place? What if actions can be taken, doctors can be called, and out of the box ideas can be pursued from a place of ease, deep trust, peace, and even joy? It seems to me that we must begin by taking a little peek at what exactly fuels the stories of pain and suffering in your brain. What is it that causes the brain to ratchet up the volume and intensity of your itchiness, your tightness, or even shooting pain? And what is it that allows the brain to turn that volume back down again so that there can be true relief? As silly as this word sounds, I like to think of all those little stories in the brain as volumizers. I think it's because I was a 1980s girl and I loved really big hair and I had a sea of volumizing hairspray. So, volumizers in the brain are those sneaky little stories and those beliefs that turn up the volume of your experience of pain and suffering. All volumizers have one thing in common. They have a story of rejection. And rejection is the fuel that stokes the fire of the mind's pain stories. So here are the most obvious volumizers. Here are the most obvious stories that your mind tells, either out loud or subconsciously. And every one of these has rejection at the heart of it. Here are some of my favorite volumizers. This shouldn't be happening. This definitely shouldn't still be happening after all these years. I shouldn't have to feel like this. This pain is awful. This symptom is ruining my life, and I have evidence that it's doing so. This is so unfair. This already has ruined my life, and I have another mountain of evidence for that. I'm never going to get better. There's no point in living. I've got to get to the bottom of this because it's actually urgent for real. No one else has it as bad as I do. I can't handle this pain any longer. And my favorite of all volumizers, the sneakiest of them all, is a single word: still. Still, as in, I'm still sick. The pain is still here. I'm still waiting for answers. I'm still waiting for doctors. The discomfort is still present. It sounds so innocent and true, like it's objectively true, right? The pain is still here. It sounds like objective truth. But hidden in that sneaky little word, still, is an entire mountain of rejection, a mountain of fuel for the mind's construction of its pain movie. In that simple phrase, it's still here. I'm still in pain. I still am suffering, is the very fuel that is stoking the fire of the entire experience. And then we believe the story our mind says on the other end. This is objective truth. Thankfully, this is where we appear to have some leverage, not in trying to turn the thoughts around, not in striving to do something different, but in just seeing. And if you can't see yet, then the magic is in just being open to seeing something new. We can begin to be open to seeing that we are not the creators of, nor the owners of thought. I want to say that again because the mind wants to kick that out. We are not the creators of, nor the owners of thought. We do not make up thoughts or stories or beliefs, and we certainly don't own them. These sneaky little stories and beliefs are simply programs running, programs that were inherited and learned from our culture and our families, our parents and our ancestors. You are not rejecting anything. You do not reject. I do not reject. People do not reject. But a program of rejection is running, and it has not been reconciled as just that, a program. It is still part of your identity, and anything, including a physical symptom, that is part of that identity will need to hang around as long as that identity is intact. You are not at fault for anything, and we know this because you're not the one choosing beliefs. You're not the one choosing thoughts. You do not choose the stories that run in your mind. So it can't be that you're at fault for any of this. You have not sabotaged yourself. You have not brought this upon yourself. You have not prolonged your own suffering, and you don't do anything to get in your own way of healing. These are stories. And what do we know about stories? We don't create them. We don't own them. They are not about us. They are not personal. The more you can begin to see this, that these are just stories passing through, the more open you will find yourself to seeing many of the other lies that your mind has been telling your whole life and presenting as objective truth. So what do? We begin by noticing when thoughts and stories about our experience of pain feel urgent, high stakes, ultra serious, catastrophic, hopeless, or defeated. And instead of identifying with those thoughts as ours and as truth, we can simply name the experience we're having without buying into all those stories of rejection. So that might sound like this. Right now, fear is here, even terror. Right now, a wave of rage is making its way to the light, making its way into my conscious awareness. Right now, a program of hopelessness is running. There is a strong feeling and experience of hopelessness. Confusion is coming to the surface today to be seen. Right now, a program of doubt is running pretty loudly. Hello, sadness. You're here to be seen in the light of day. I see you. I feel you. Notice the absence of rejection in just simply naming the experience. No stories, no extra meanings, no looking into the future or drawing from the past. Just naming it right now, as raw and as simple as you can. By simply acknowledging the program running without identifying with it as if it's something you did or something you brought upon yourself, you open the door to true healing. We begin holding a space of compassion for all those programs running, even the programs of judgment, hatred, rage, hopelessness, despair, sadness. Instead of shoving them away, instead of saying, no, I don't want that. No, I can't have that. I must feel happy. I must feel joyful. We say, hi, you are here without all the extra stories about what it means about your life. We just have them. We see them. We feel them. We begin giving the brain every opportunity to turn down the volume on its stories and its constructions of pain and suffering. We hold a gentle and loving container for each program that comes into the light of our awareness. We hold a space of compassion for all those little ones who have been waiting a lifetime or many lifetimes to be seen, held, and loved. We ask questions whose answers can only be felt in the body. They do not have words or images in the brain. So one of the biggest questions I used to ask when my symptoms of chronic hives or swelling would flare is this: beyond my mind's ability to understand, what if this experience is part of my greatest healing and a portal to remembering who and what I am beyond this body? I would ask that question sometimes hundreds of times a day until it became part of my belly. It was just part of me. So whenever symptoms would flare, instead of going to the mind, which would of course say, I hate this, this shouldn't be happening, this is ruining my life, I would naturally and instinctively drop into the belly, into the heart, and ask the questions that have no logical answers in the brain. When the mind demands a solution or expresses an outrage, we can simply ask, what do I not want to feel right now? What experience does my mind say I should be exempt from? Well, guess what? Those are the exact emotions and sensations that are most in service of you right now, most in service of your expansion, your waking up, your remembering who and what you are beyond this story of you, beyond even the body. So when rejection does arise, because it will, and that's okay, we treat it like we treat all the other stories and beliefs. We say, hello, rejection. A program of rejection is running. And we say, hi, you're here. And it makes sense that you're here. That's it. We just hold it and we feel it. And so this is where the healing begins. True healing, not temporary relief, not momentary healing. But this is where true, lasting relief and healing begin. Openness, a spirit of, I don't know. I don't know, but I'm willing to trust. I don't know, but I'm open to trusting. We notice where we are still identified with beliefs, thoughts, and programs running through the mind. And then we just name our experience without rejecting it. We ask the simple questions that have no logical answers in the mind, like what if, beyond my mind's ability to understand, this experience is the one most in service right now. And then we simply hold a space of love for those generations old programs, beliefs, and stories that are still running. We grow the capacity moment by moment to be fully present to and be with whatever human experience is arising in the moment. Because in any given moment, all we have is life, love, this arising as a momentary world of form experience. When we can start to actually lean right into those experiences without the rejection and without buying into a lifetime of stories and beliefs, everything begins to change. Truly, everything. And I think that's where we see the magic, the miracles. They're there, but they're right in the center of the discomfort. I hope you'll join us sometime in office hours. It's an amazing group. We've been meeting for about 3 years now, and I'll be sure to leave the link in the show notes if you ever want to join us. It's free, and it's every Thursday from 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern. I love you guys, and I'll see you later. Bye.